Let's talk about Wells Fargo saying crypto is like the internet in the late 90s, nearing hyper adoption phase. This is something that I think the entire cryptocurrency market has been saying for a long time, which is like basically saying the crypto bubble is like the internet bubble. And that means like a couple things, right? You have essentially great potential in short-term profits, etc. But you also need to watch out for a bubble popping. It means that there are going to be projects that never make it or never see the light of day, and then projects that will make people insanely wealthy. And this is kind of the nature of what the comparisons between a crypto bubble to the internet bubble would mean. Let's see what Wells Fargo has to say about it. This is coming from Blockwords. Wells Fargo is drawing similarities to the adoption rate of the internet, calling crypto early, but not too early. So, multinational financial services and banking giant Wells Fargo told investors Monday, let me see if I can scroll in here for you guys. It did not think it was too early to get skin in the game for cryptocurrency investments. And this is good news. So if retail or institutional investors are saying that, it's not too late to go ahead and invest in cryptocurrency, right, kind of on this tail end of what was looking like to potentially be a bear market, this is a good signal, I think, from the perspective of the markets and where we're headed. In a report from Bank's Global Investment Strategy team, Wells Fargo said crypto users are growing rapidly around the world and appear to be a, quote, hyper adoption phase, be near a hyper adoption phase, similar to that of the internet during the mid to late 1990s. Quote, we believe that cryptocurrencies are viable investments today, even though they remain in the early stages of their investment evolution, end quote, the company said. The bank is making recommendations to investors to approach crypto investments through professionally managed private placements, telling them to be patient while the industry continues to mature. Now, I want everybody to be very careful here and note a couple things. What they're saying here is that you're not smart enough to invest in cryptocurrency. Therefore, you should really go through a professionally managed placement of that. Who would be that professional kind of mediary? That would be Wells Fargo, in their opinion. Let's go back to the basic principles of cryptocurrency, which is a peer-to-peer cashless system, removing third parties like Wells Fargo. So, obviously, to me, Wells Fargo here is starting to feel like they need to jump on the bandwagon. What their goal is going to be is to get you to invest into cryptocurrency through their institution. They will more than likely advise against you investing in cryptocurrency on your own, right? Which is against the principles of cryptocurrency. We want the Wells Fargos of the world out of the game at the end of the day. Quote, we do not recommend any of the other current investment options such as mutual funds, ETFs, grantor trusts, and individual cryptocurrency speculation. See, they can't have that. They can't have the individual. They can't have the individual doing this. The company added it was hopeful 2022 would bring about greater clarity on regulatory front, which could lead to higher quality investments. Wells Fargo also said it did not subscribe to the too late to invest argument new investors feel when they first start poking around in digital assets. That's because performance numbers for most crypto are skewed as they've grown from virtually zero, according to the report. The bank also points to crypto being a nascent industry. I actually don't know the definition of that, which would be, oh, okay, I get it. So coming or having recently come into existence. Huh. Could have just said new. and, quote, relatively young investment space, end quote, with a large majority of projects being fewer than 5 years old. Wells Fargo believes crypto is, quote, early but not too early, end quote, in the investment stage, highlighting the need for investor education while also pointing out crypto's adoption rate similar to that of the internet during the turn of the century. And as you can see here, here's the internet usage versus crypto users. And then I think the crypto users are in these little dots right here. And it says we're kind of coming up on that year 2001, right? Like right here. And then this is in comparison to, of course, the internet, with the internet ending in 2021, with crypto ending in 2042, saying, you know, we're about to hit kind of this mark of just kind of parabolic price rises. So its research draws parallels to the internet's performance during that time in the late 90s and its technology S-curve when the web's use surged from 77 million in 1996 to 412 million in 2000. The bank believes crypto may have reached an adoption inflection point that bears resemblance to where the internet was back then. The chart above is published in the report compares the global adoption rate of the internet beginning in 1993 and crypto users beginning in 2014. Quote, based on this comparison alone, it appears that cryptocurrency use today may be a little ahead of the mid to late 1990s internet, the bank said. Precise numbers aside, there is no doubt that global cryptocurrency adoption is rising and could soon hit a hyper-inflection point. Wells Fargo is no stranger to the crypto industry. Its report adds to musings penned last year when it called crypto a viable investment asset and said it would begin offering a professionally managed solution to its wealthiest clients. The banking giant followed up by registering a passive Bitcoin trust with the Security Exchange Commission in August, which I think we covered both of those things last year on this channel. Once again, I just want to bring everybody back to the principles of crypto and just let you know, in my opinion, from a principled standpoint, not a financial advice standpoint, I would traditionally be against, you know, a professionally managed crypto portfolio. I would also lean towards basically taking that responsibility on for yourself, doing the learning that you can about it, and then getting in from there. Now, to the note about, you know, the bubbles that are potential for this as well. One of the things is like the overall grand scheme of things, cryptocurrency could rise. As far as all of the projects within cryptocurrency, there are going to be a lot that fall off and a lot that shoot up really high, right? But even at this early stage, it's important to note a few things if you want to draw parallels to the internet. There are things like Yahoo as a search engine that are not used anymore that were highly used at that time in the internet. You have things like AOL Instant Messenger as well, or just AOL in general, that pretty much dominated the space and now is no longer a thing. These are all examples of projects you could get into that end up not paying off. While on the other hand, if you get in early on something like Google or before the iPhone, etc., then you're good to go. What problem does that present, though, from an investment standpoint? And this is where the miner's perspective comes in. And I've talked about this a lot in the past with the book, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the biggest thing that I got from that book personally, once again, not financial advice, was that you want to buy or purchase assets that generate revenue. And that's how you're going to be able to build long-term wealth for you and your family. And so when we're talking about just purchasing a cryptocurrency, I don't find that as advisable as purchasing something that generates revenue. Now, what are examples of those things? On the mining side, they're pretty obvious. Graphics cards, application-specific integrated circuits, ASICs, whatever that device may be that's going to generate a piece of revenue every day. On the staking side, obviously, if you were going to invest in something like Cardano or whatever it may be, You want to make sure you're taking that investment and then staking it. What you don't want to be doing is using a professionally managed portfolio where they kind of give you a certain amount. Who knows what they're going to do with that? My assumption is if they're smart, they're going to have a centralized exchange within the banking system, and you won't be able to control your private keys. They could even be just staking it for you in the background, not telling you, and taking the profits for the bank, as they've been known to do with a lot of other investment manipulation stuff in the past. You know, you never know, man. I wouldn't trust them personally, but those are kind of the parallels. Things to think about moving forward. If you're generating revenue, then you're going to be good. Now, could Bitcoin go away? That's kind of an interesting one too. Because if we're talking about kind of the traditional bubbles, you would say that in that case, Bitcoin could go away. I suppose that could be a possibility. At this point, there are some very distinct things going on within Bitcoin itself that kind of not only protects it, but also just makes it function different than like the internet bubble. One of those, of course, being that concept of a store of value, but you don't have a governed cryptocurrency in the case of Bitcoin. So I think other crypto projects where you do have like some sort of governing body as a whole that isn't focused on maybe the miners or the workers that are supplying the, verification for the chain. Those are the ones I would expect to shift. The Fluxes, the Ergos, the Chias, the Ethereums, the Cardanos, that sort of thing. The one that I still think personally that avoids all of that bubble poppingness of individual companies failing is going to be Bitcoin, because it doesn't have that governing body outside of the miners making the decision. It has a supply cap. It has good fundamentals, as they call them, within cryptocurrency, whereas a lot of the other projects do not have that. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.